Edition of Extra Time. Thank you very much. Yeah, we know you're there, Sid. But what are you doing? We'll start with live. Come on. Sid,
I've got people. I've got people in my ear thinking I'd gone. I haven't gone. I'm still here. I haven't gone anywhere.
Well, we thought knowing your diva ways. Yeah. So I'm not doing Extra Time. Alex, I think, has gone.
I've flounced out of here.
Sid, how quickly can you find Stevie's book amongst those books behind you?
Very quickly. Would you like me to do it just to prove the point?
Yeah, go on.
Go on, right, let's go.
Dun, 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 dun,
Where's the
dun.
little clock?
Where are you, Stevie? Where are you?
Oh, wait, he hasn't done it that quickly. Where is it? In the toilet.
Hey!
There it is.
Oh, he bought the cheap one, he didn't buy the other one.
The paperback.
That was the cut price one.
I believe there are still copies available.
Plenty of them.
Have you read it, Shaq?
You can have this one if you want.
It is really, really... trust me, if you're looking for something to read this summer, it's excellent. Really, really good. Very Stevie. I can't wait for the next edition to come out, which is a little more X-rated. Yeah. Where should Ronaldo go, Sid? Where's he been linked to? Botafogo, I think, last 24 hours.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's two ways of looking at this. One of them is that it's actually really quite exciting, and I really quite like the idea of him playing at the Club World Cup. But there's a bit of me that feels a little bit like it kind of feels a bit cynical, and it feels a bit marketing driven. But yeah, it'd be a lot of fun. And I do like the idea of him going somewhere like Botafogo, a proper big club with a big fan base, and sort of I'm looking forward to it, I think.
Sid? Sid, Shaka, whichever which one you are.
I don't know.
How do you feel if you're in that Botafogo dressing room? Are you excited that Ronaldo's coming?
No, you're excited.
Oh, yeah?
Absolutely, you're excited. One of the best players of a generation to join the club. Absolutely, you're excited. As long as he contributes, you're all right with it.
All right. Stevie?
What?
The question? Ronaldo, where should
What was the question?
Right. Your commitment. God, if this was Chelsea, you'd been ranting for 10 minutes by now.
I don't know where he goes, honestly.
Botafogo?
No, honestly. MLS. Go to MLS and...
But he wants to play in the Club World Cup.
Well, go to Inter Miami then. As we said yesterday. Go to MLS.
Yeah?
Then we can have the old Messi, Ronaldo again, get after it.
Yeah, get after it. There you are. Beautiful. Perfect. Sid, any huge transfers that could happen in life?
Well, it's just in general. But I mean, look, I think we will see. I think we see Atletico Madrid sign Alex Baena. I don't know if that counts as huge to you, but I think it's a really exciting one because Alex Baena has been absolutely fantastic in Spain this year. I suspect, sadly, that most Spanish clubs, taking out Madrid and Barcelona, don't have the money to go and buy really big players from England, for example. Let's say I think Real Madrid might surprise us with someone for the front of the pitch.
That's very, very generic. I meant to ask you, Sid, you mentioned Atleti. I'm glad you did. Cunha, of course, is going to Manchester United. That seems all but done. Why did he fail so badly at Atleti?
Yeah, that is a good question. Okay, so there's a few things here. I think one of them is that it was a younger Cunha. That's obvious. I think the other thing is that it was a dressing room that was slightly divided, and he was very much in the Portuguese-speaking camp, and I'm not sure that was actually a particularly good place for him to be. I think he had a manager who made demands of him, but maybe didn't always nurture him as much as he might have done. And I actually think if you look at his performances, there were moments where you thought, wow, he's really good, and there maybe wasn't a huge amount of continuity. So I think in a way you can sort of reduce all those things and boil them down to a sense of maybe not the right club at that part of his career.
Yeah. And if you're Manchester United, you're not too concerned about that, given the uniqueness of Simeone and Atleti?
No, I think if you're Man United, you're concentrating on what he's done in the Premier League.
Sure.
As opposed to in Spain, no question.
Sid, we talked about this on the show. Will Barcelona actually be able to register their summer signings next season?
Yes, they will. We think they will. I mean, bear in mind that Barcelona now, it looks like the final paperwork and the money has come through on those VIP boxes, which means that that money that essentially I'm going to try and explain this as simple as I can. When La Liga were calculating Barcelona's salary limits, they were essentially saying, we're not going to calculate this money from the VIP boxes for a deal that you have signed and a contract you have signed because we don't have the proof that that money has arrived. They now have the proof that the money's arrived. Right. So while the situation contractually hasn't changed, the situation in terms of accountancy has. And that makes a big difference. Now, for what it's worth, I do think, and this hasn't really been talked about much yet, but I do think Barcelona will try to make a couple of big departures happen this summer. Big departures in terms of salaries.
Right.
And that will help as well in their search for new players. But I think they'll be in a far better position this year than they were last year.
Like Araujo?
Well, Araujo is the obvious one. Yeah. And then they have to... Yeah, and then they have to look at maybe some of their midfielders and try and decide, is there someone there that they could either get a decent fee for or who is on good money that they would get rid of. Now, 6 or 8 months ago, I would have said 100% this is Frenkie de Jong. Now, obviously, we know that's been Frenkie de Jong in the past, and Frenkie, to his credit, and he's entirely justified to, dug his heels and said, no, I want to stay at Barcelona. And the last 3 or 4 months of the season, he's played really, really well. And I think that has shifted things in Barcelona's mindset on him. Because, as I say, until about January, February, Frenkie de Jong was the prime candidate for that. And he's not anymore.
When's the Camp Nou going to be finished?
Well, they hope to be in for the start of next season, but they have, I believe I'm right in saying that they have asked for the first 3 games of the season to be away from home to give them a little bit of margin. Right. Of course, those first 3 games of the season, you would add to that then that international break in September, so it would take them to the 3rd week of September to be able to get in, and then they wouldn't be getting in with the stadium finished, but they would be getting in with the stadium serviceable. In fact, there was a nice story I saw the other day that they're going to try and arrange a friendly in July, which is essentially a dummy run. So you get a dummy run, you see what it's like, see what the turnstiles are like, the access points, how the fans are, is it all safe, can you make it all done? And they were essentially inviting people to volunteer. Now, I quite like the idea that I could volunteer and say, yeah, I'll play up front, but I think they meant in the stands, sadly.
Shaka, do you think Barcelona should sign Emi Martinez?
No. I think Barcelona need to think younger goalkeeper if you're not sticking with Ter Stegen or Szczesny. Think younger and more long-term, which means that Emi Martinez at 32 does not tick all those.
Where's he going to go, Shaq, do you think?
Saudi Arabia.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, get paid.
Oh, you said that in a very deep voice as well.
Well, I think from...
He gave us the old bluff about the trophies, didn't he? Martinez. He came out and said, I'm leaving Villa because I want to win trophies.
Oh, no.
Yeah, right.
You'll have enough money to buy whatever trophies you want.
I know you're at a wedding at the weekend. Did you see him getting sent off?
No, I did not.
No, that's fine, Shaka. That's, you go. When you're off, you're off. Even when you're on, you're off.
I was focused on wedding stuff, Dan.
Did you have any role? Were you like best man or in the bridal party?
No, it was... No. I was a guest.
Oh, okay.
And I took my role very seriously.
I bet you did, Shaq. Stevie, as a coach, how do you select your backroom staff? And who from ESPN would have as your staff if you were to do it again? So obviously it was you and Paul Mariner, which I think an unbelievable team.
Yeah.
Who did you ask as well? Did you ask Inchi?
I asked
Adrian Eve?
The problem is, the problem is, depending on where you are, it's about money.
Yes. And did you have lots of it to give out?
No. No. The problem I had at the Revs was I stupidly, automatically thought that the money Paul was on would be used just to go to Inchi.
Yes.
So Inchi was the guy I asked initially.
Yes.
But that wasn't to be the case.
Why? Where's that money? Where would it go?
Well, apparently Inchi's resume as a coach didn't quite fit the amount of money that Paul was on.
So let me ask you this. Say if you had unlimited funds, who would you have as your assistant coach?
You go with the... Listen, when you're... If I'm in the Premier League, right, it's not so much about can the guy coach, because everybody can, at that level, everybody can coach, everybody can set up drills, and everybody can do that. It then becomes about the personality to get on with the rest of the staff, and the personality that will fit the personality of the players. So that's the tricky bit. It's not finding somebody who can coach.
Right.
It's finding the right personality.
It's quite an interesting question I've asked. What's the answer? Yeah, I found it interesting.
Yeah, so the personality to fit everybody.
Who?
Oh, who?
Yes, who?
I don't know. Paul.
Paul, you've already had
bring him
Paul. Paul's dead.
Paul.
You need a new one. You've got
you're
a
listening.
limited fund.
If you're listening, I need you back.
Who would you have?
Right now.
Yes. Anyone in the world.
Anyone in the world.
Pep Guardiola.
No. No. I don't know.
No. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Okay, so
Somebody from here.
well, we'll take that. Okay, so the first question you've just completely avoided. The second question, then, who from here? So who's the top of your
It
list?
would be Shaq.
You would have Shaka, really?
Aye.
Why is that something?
Sorry. Let me do that again. Say that again.
Shaka.
Yeah, I can see that.
Absolutely.
Have who?
Is there another Shaka who works here?
Oh, God.
You're doing yourself a disservice, by the way.
It's Dan's reaction I'm talking about. Dan,
Oh, right.
when he says Shaka, like, who?
Oh. Shaq would be perfect.
Why?
Well, because as I said, he would have all his badges, but his personality, he can fit. Shaka would be able to fit into whatever
I see.
the personality of the group. The
chameleon that he is.
Correct.
So Shaka's at the top of the list. Who's at the bottom?
Oh, his nibs.
Craig?
Oh no. I'd need a bucket of water to put all the fires out every 5 minutes.
For Sid, outside... this is such a Sid question. For Sid, outside the big three in Spain, what football story was the most compelling this season? Rayo Vallecano reaching Europe?
Yeah, Rayo reaching Europe is absolutely amazing. If you've ever been to Vallecas, you know that you look at that ground and you think, hang on, how can this lot be playing in Europe? And so that's a brilliant story. I also love the other element of it, which is, of course, that their manager, Inigo Perez, was supposed to be the assistant manager. Let's link the last two questions, shall we? Was supposed to be the assistant manager of Andoni Iraola at Bournemouth. And the UK Home Office, essentially the Department for Work, did a report on him and denied him a work permit.
Wow.
And the phrase was, we do not believe he can make a significant contribution to English football. So he came to Spain and led Rayo Vallecano into Europe for the first time in 25 years.
That is a good story, Sid.
yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, sorry, that was a good story, Sid. Of course it was. Okay. Oh, I hate these questions because you never know the answer to them. Who's the most underrated player in the Premier League?
Jacob Murphy.
I don't know why that made me laugh.
No, I'm very serious. I'm saying that with as straight a face as I can muster.
Jacob Murphy.
Absolutely.
Newcastle's.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. For Stevie, if you're the manager of a newly promoted Premier League team like Burnley or Sunderland, would you prefer to boost your squad with experienced players from relegated teams or sign up overperformers from fellow Championship teams?
I think you could take a punt on maybe a couple of guys that maybe didn't quite perform to their best. You know, sometimes guys that get thrown away have got a point to prove, like Anthony at Betis. You know what I mean?
I'm not Anthony.
But you absolutely need people that are going to work.
There you go.
And then you can have a splattering of ability.
Yes.
That hopefully will go along with that hard work that will make the difference.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Sid, you're off to... Where is the game? Poland tomorrow?
Yes, I'm off to Poland with Gab. See if you can find me a restaurant.
That is it. That brings us to the end
I
of
looked up
today.
Stevie's book, by the way, on Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
The only hit I got was a book called Star Force on the Rise. I've just put in Barnes and Noble, Steve Nicol.
Okay.
Got Star Force on the Rise.
Well, if only there was another book delivering service that's around in the world.
Yeah,
Shaka.
there are other good book delivery services
Good try.
available, I'm sure.
Now, read us a moment, Sid.
Is it Star Force
Give us
on
a
the Rise?
sentence.
Okay, random sentence, here we go. Although my top short socks and jumper all laid out at Anfield, I had to pick out a jockstrap or a pair of pants from the pile on the table in the middle of the dressing room. How about that? That is genuinely the first thing I found. Day one as a Liverpool player, the reigning European Cup holders, don't forget, and it was every man for himself when it came to the team underwear. There you go, Steve. That's the kind of gold we're going to get from you.
Those are details I did not need to know.
Honestly.
Oh, God.
I went home and told my missus that, and she went out and bought me underwear to bring in my own every morning.
Wow.
Because there was just everybody, in the morning, was a pile of jock straps or little slips, and everybody just helped themselves, and at the end of the day, threw them in,
Yes.
and then they were sent to the wash, and obviously some of them weren't quite cleaned properly.
Oh.
So the next day, we didn't get in quick.
You brought your own,
So my missus went, "You're not doing that."
right? What was the underwear set like in Newcastle, Shaq?
Not like that. I can't remember what it was, but I know it wasn't that.
Oh, wow. We should just do this every day, get Sid on to read a sentence of Stevie's book.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Keep us going throughout the summer. That is it. ESPN FC returns to your screens tomorrow to reflect on Real Betis against Chelsea.